Hi everybody, and welcome back to video number 4 in chapter 24. And here is my spreadsheet, which you'll find in the supplemental files. I thought it would be good to go through how we calculate net present value in a little more depth. So here, as you see, we have a 10% discount rate. I've developed my factors based on that. And as you can see, if I go to that and I show you what we do, we take the previous cell times 1 plus the discount rate, and down she goes. And then here's our undiscounted cash flows. Here we've purchased, let's say, a piece of equipment, and that's going to generate $150,000 of cash flows in the next 5 years. We discount them by dividing my factor into that undiscounted cash flows to get the present value. Now, what the book is going to do is it's going to use the same 1 as your factor in period 0, but then all I do is take my factor and divide it into 1 to get the book factors. Okay? And so now what we do is, if we can use the Excel function that I talked about briefly in the last video, and as you see, we're going to take the MPV, we're going to use the 10% discount rate, we're going to use this range from periods 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, plus the 500,000 negative. And that will give us, of course, the same result that doing it this way does. This way really shows you exactly how a net present value is calculated, so you can see it visually, and I think that helps understanding it a little bit more. But we can also do it the book way, and the book way, we're going to pick up these, this book factor here of 3.79, and how we get that is simply adding all these discount rates from the Exhibit 25A1 table. And that makes it a little easier to do it when we have the same annuity each period. So what we would do is take this 3.79 and multiply that times $150,000. And that is going to give me $568,619. And I subtract the 500,000 to get 68,618.50. You can see there's 48 cents difference here because this is rounded to 5 decimal points, whereas Steve's way takes it out more than that. If I use an unrounded rate, I get exactly the same number, just to show you the book way is working perfectly too. Okay, I think if you play with that a little bit, you'll understand exactly what we're doing as far as net present value. And here's another example of net present value here, where we use a 6.25%, and we calculated the net present values negative. Now, if we calculate a negative net present value, we know we're not going to do this project. In net present value number 3, we use that $16,000 investment, and we generated $4,367.32 worth of net present value. This is a go project because it's greater than 0. Okay, and then internal rate of return. This one takes a little bit of calculation here. So let's say that our discount rate, our hurdle rate, was 10%. If it was 10%, let's go back, because I used the same one here. This was, in fact, 10%. So I'm using 10%. I'm getting the same net present value. In the Excel function, you can see I'm using the internal rate of return, and this 10% is a guess factor in that calculation. So don't worry too much, just get close. It'll work out perfectly. But in the internal rate of return, we use the whole range. We don't need to segment it as we did with the net present value. But just to show you that this works, this is how I would show you how it works. You will remember that internal rate of return is that discount rate at which net present value equals 0. So I go to the Data tab here, and I go to the What If analysis. You see it there. And I go to Goal Seek. And I'm going to set this cell, which is the net present value, equal to 0 by changing the discount rate. And if I change the discount rate to 15.24, you see that now the net present value is now 0. And the discount rate that generates the net present value of 0 is your internal rate of return. So how we would use that, we would say, oh, we want a 10% minimum hurdle rate, but I'm getting 15%, which is higher than 10%. So this is a go project. And you can evaluate risk a little bit better, too, because you can say, ooh, that's a long way. I can be a little bit wrong in these forecasts of future cash flows and still make that 10% minimum hurdle rate. So it's useful for evaluating risk that way once you had a little experience doing this. And so if I go to Profitability Index here I can take, if I'm doing a Profitability Index, I'm going to take all this positive cash, discounted cash in, and divide it by 16,000. Notice it's a positive 16,000, so you can see that I've used a minus sign here to calculate that. And it's 1.27. So for Profitability Index, we're going to say anything 1 or greater than 1, I should say, is a go project. And this project is a go project because it's 1.27. All right, then if I look at simple payback, this is pretty easy. Here we can, it's a very easy calculation. I can take 500,000 and divide it by 150,000 and I get payback. But I've calculated a cumulative undiscounted cash flow here. And as you can see, it goes positive somewhere between the 3rd and 4th year. Now, what I would do then is I would take 50,000 as a percentage of 150,000 in year 4, and that gives me 0.33. So my simple payback in years is 3.33. Now, when we have constant cash flows, I can just simply do 500,000 divided by 150,000. Notice again, I changed that to a positive. Now, you're going to need, whenever you do break-even time, however, you're going to need, for sure, a cumulative discounted cash flow column. In this case, because these 150,000 items were all the same, we really didn't need to go to the trouble of doing the cumulative undiscounted cash flows column here. We could have just done a simple division. But for break-even time, we do. And what we're doing here is the cumulative discounted cash flow. So I'm going to take this 500,000 and add each of these discounted cash flows to that. And you can see that it goes positive somewhere between the 4th and 5th year. So what we would do then is we would take this 24,520 as a percentage of 93,138. And if I do that, I get 0.26. So that's what my formula would look like for this one. I make the 24,520 into a positive and divide it by 93,138. That gives me the percentage of year 4 needed to break even. Right. Okay, I think that concludes Chapter 24 And that concludes all the videos for this course. I hope you found those videos helpful, and I hope you find Chapter 24 to be helpful as well. There's lots of applications for this, I think, you will find as you proceed in your business careers, and hopefully this will be a launch pad for that success. Until we meet again, bye for now.